What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Young Brother Soul Podcast Show. And guess what? It is me, your guy, the Young Brother of Soul. Yeah. I'm back for a new episode of the Young Brother Soul Podcast Show. Now, before I go on, I'm going to make a little sponsor. Meaning, well, let me ask y'all this. Well, some people have their different ways of drinking, right? You had a long day, especially from work. People get on your nerves. You know, just in general. You need something to relax you, calm you down. You know what I normally drink? A good old Heineken. It's nice and cold. And not only that is nice and cold, to me, it is the best beer that is out here today. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm definitely sponsoring for Heineken. I hope they appreciate what I'm doing because, like I said, this is my favorite beer, and to me, it's the best. So, yeah, you had a long day. Make sure you get a good old cold one, like I do. Thank you. So, on today's episode, what I'm going to be talking about is I'm going to be doing another episode of, how can I say, critics, so-called fans, especially you Dallas Cowgirls fans. Yeah, Washington and New York too, but I am so sick and tired of y'all disrespecting Jalen Hurts. I'm sick of it. I am. Yeah, I'm sick of it. Now, before I go on with them disrespecting Jalen Hurts, another thing what I want to talk about is I also want to talk about my hometown basketball team, the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, rumor has it that legendary basketball player LeBron James is a free agent. Now, how can I say this? Do you think LeBron James is coming to Philly? If he don't go to Miami or Golden State, do you think it's a possibility that LeBron James is going to come to Philadelphia? Now, before I go on with this situation, what I also want to talk about is how the Sixers, I know this been happening, but I know I'm like a couple weeks late, but then again, maybe it's the reason why I'm a couple weeks late. Okay, we're just going to leave it at that. Jalen Brown traded to the Sixers for Paul George. Do I think that was a great trade? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. Jalen Brown is a phenomenal basketball player. And I always said to myself, or as I would say to my brother, what if Jalen Brown would have got drafted by the Sixers? Well, we don't have to worry about that dream anymore because he's been traded to the Sixers. And the way how Boston treated him when he got traded, we'll talk about that another time. But, yeah, Jalen Brown to the Sixers. And not only that, the Sixers also drafted a guard from the University of Alabama named Libarian Phillin Jr. 6'4". He went to the University of Alabama. Now, do I think that this is a good draft pick? Yeah, I do. Don't get me wrong. I think it's a phenomenal draft pick. Because at first, I thought they were going to draft a center. Well, I think we already know why of that situation. But, on the other hand, I'm going to tell you this right now. Joel Embiid is good. Okay? He's good when he's healthy. But he's not great. To me, my personal opinion. Is he good? Yeah. Like I said, he's good. But is he great? Not to me. But when he's healthy, he can ball. But they're flopping and falling and stuff, man. You gonna have to get it together, man. You really gonna have to get it together. But other than that, since we have Jalen Brown, VJ Eshcom, Tyrese Maxey, Librarian Philin Jr., and we still got Joel. Do you think it is a possibility that LeBron James is coming to Philadelphia? Leave a comment and let me know what y'all think. But if LeBron comes to Philadelphia, do you think that this will finally be a time, or should I say the time, that the Philadelphia 76ers finally win an NBA championship in over 40 years? Do you think it's possible? How can I say this? Yes, I think it's possible. Is Philadelphia, are we desperately needed for another NBA championship? Yeah, like I said, it's been over 40 years. 43 years. That's a very long time. Y'all see the New York Knicks. Yeah, they broke their championship drought. It's been 53 years for them. Also, I also want to let y'all know, like I told my cousins from New York, I'm going to tell y'all this right now. To you New York fans, leave the pole climbing to Philadelphia. Or to anybody out there. Leave the pole climbing to Philadelphia. You know why? That's a Philly thing. Now, I understand, yeah, it's been over 50 years since y'all won y'all championship, which y'all desperately or deserve, as I should say, even though I'm not a New York Knicks fan. But I'm actually happy that y'all won because, like I said, it's been over 50 years. But to the New York Knicks fans or anybody outside of Philadelphia, leave the pole climbing to Philadelphia. Like I said, that's a Philly thing. That's a Philly thing. Yeah. Even though I wouldn't recommend my fellow Eagles fans, or Philadelphia fans, as I should say, climbing a pole, because we already know what happened after that 2024 NFC Championship when we blew out Washington. That's another thing I need to talk to y'all about Washington too. But we're going to get to that a little later. I never forget when we won that NFC Championship, and it was this young college student. I seen the video. He fell head first from that pole. That was crazy. And it's sad that he passed away from that, but at the end, like I said, do I recommend pole climbing for my fellow Philly fans? No, but like I said, it's a Philly thing. And to anybody, like I said, outside of Philadelphia, and I'm going to keep on saying it, I don't care how many times I keep repeating myself, that's a Philly thing. So all you fans outside of Philadelphia, do not climb poles, because that's what we do. Well, I don't do it, but that's what we do. Like I said, it's a Philly thing. Okay? I'm going to tell y'all that right now. It's a Philly thing. Alright? Now, like I was saying, do you think if LeBron James gets signed to Philadelphia, do you think our championship drought will end? Honestly, I would love to see it end. I would love to see it end. And of course, we still waiting on the Flyers to win another Stanley Cup. And it's been over 50 years, so yeah. But anybody that's watching, leave a comment if you feel as though I should do more episodes about hockey. Let me know. I'm trying my best to get to know hockey a little more. I'm going to tell you how I got into starting to watch the Flyers more so than what I have been when I was younger. But I never forget, in the 2010 Eastern Conference Finals, we was down 3-0 against against the Boston Bruins. And look what happened. We would go on and win 4 straight. We forced the game 7, won game 7, and that's how I got into hockey. And of course, we advanced to the Stanley Cup Finals, which we did lose to the Chicago Blackhawks. You know, of course I was upset about that, but that's when I really started to get into hockey. When we beat the Bruins in a game 7 in the Eastern Conference Finals, which we were down 3-0. Okay, that was the last time that the Flyers ever made it back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Now, the last time, of course, when they won was in 1974 and 1975. They won back-to-back. And, of course, they lost quite a few Stanley Cup Finals. They lost in 76, 1980, 1985. I believe they got swept by the Edmonton Oilers. 1987, they lost Game 7 to the Oilers. 1997, they lost the Stanley Cup to the Detroit Red Wings. And come to find out, now that I heard that the Red Wings are in the Eastern Conference Finals now. They're not in the Western Conference Finals. But anyway, they lost quite a few Eastern Conference championships. But yeah, like I said, that was the last time that the Flyers ever made it to the Stanley Cup. Nah, let me stop. But yeah, like I said, is there ever a possibility that the Flyers will win another Stanley Cup? I would hope so. I would think so. But, you know, it is what it is as of right now. I mean, like I said in another episode, this past playoff season, they did beat the Pittsburgh Penguins, which I'm very happy about. But just going to keep on waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Now back to the Sixers. Somebody made a joke saying that they're going to come out with a little documentary like how when LeBron James was a free agent and he went to the Miami Heat. Do you think that LeBron James is going to come to Philadelphia? I would like to see it happen. Don't get me wrong, even though he's been in the league for over 20 years now. But, I mean, eventually he still got it in him. Don't get me wrong. But, like I said, and to all my fellow Philadelphia fans, especially with the Sixers, it is definitely time for another championship in the city of Philadelphia. Now, I know for a fact that a lot of people, well, a lot of older people that I know said that they were so happy when we won in 1983. Of course, because the Lakers beat us twice in the finals. And then in 83, we swept them. Dr. J, Moses Malone, Maurice Cheeks, James Toney, Bobby Jones. You know, like I said, the last time that the Sixers ever made it to the finals was in 2001, which of course we lost to the LA Lakers. You know what? That might be that's going to be another episode I might do. There's always a rivalry between cities of Philadelphia, New York, Boston, and LA. There's always rivalries with those 4 major cities: Philadelphia, New York, Boston, LA. Leave a comment if you feel as though that I may be right or wrong, but there's always rivalries between those 4 cities. And that's another thing what I'm going to talk about. I might do another episode about that. Those rivalries between those 4 cities. So make sure y'all tune in for that. But anyway, we just waiting and 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 waiting to see. Is LeBron coming to Philly? Who knows? lot of people saying that they're thinking that he's going to come to Philly. And they were also commentating that since that Jalen Brown is here, and we still got, of course, Maxey, VJ Escom, and Embiid, if LeBron comes to Philly, somebody said the Sixers are automatic. Well, I wouldn't say automatically. The Sixers are going to the finals if LeBron James comes to Philadelphia. Now, I also want to give a shout out to my cousin Jerome, because my cousin Jerome, he is a huge LeBron James fan. Yes, he is. And, of course, he's also a Sixers fan. He's all Philadelphia, of course. If LeBron James comes to Philadelphia, my cousin Jerome, and I hope he's watching this, my cousin Jerome is going to lose his mind. And I definitely think, well, I wouldn't definitely think, I know for a fact that he will make it or go to some Sixers games if LeBron comes to Philadelphia. We just waiting on that decision for LeBron of what is he going to do. Okay? Now, like I said, some people said if LeBron comes to Philly, the Sixers will win well, I shouldn't just say that. The Sixers will win the NBA Finals. I'm going to just leave it at that. I'm going to just keep on waiting to see, because I am desperately wanting to see a championship, well, NBA championship in the city of Philadelphia. And of course, I'm still waiting on the Stanley Cup Finals, but we're going to talk about that another time, though. I just got to get a little better understanding the rules and some of the players with hockey. Okay? I just know that fighting in hockey is legal, well, to a certain point. That's another thing. You can't fight in baseball, basketball, and football, but you can fight in hockey. And another thing is, too, what got me was back in the day, like in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and early 70s, hockey players didn't wear helmets. Yeah, they didn't wear helmets. I believe it was in the year of 1975, 76, or maybe 1977. I forgot what year it was, but I heard about one player, and I forgot what team it was, but some of y'all may or may not remember this. Leave a comment if you know what I'm talking about. But there was this one player, he got hurt so bad that he started bleeding heavily from his forehead, from his head, as I should say. And that's when they made helmets mandatory in hockey. My thing is this, though. Now, I understand, yeah, back then they didn't have the technology, the modern technology like we do now, because hockey been around for a very long time, of course. And, you know, the Stanley Cup Finals, you know, it's been going on. Hockey been around since the 1800s. But my thing is this, though. How can you play a sport on ice with no helmets? Now, back in the day, yeah, the NFL, they had helmets, but it only covered this part. They didn't have face masks like they do, of course, of today. But yeah, for some reason, hockey players did not wear helmets during that time of the NHL. And until that one player, like I said, I forgot his name, and I forgot what team he played for. He hit his head so bad on the ice, he started bleeding heavily, and that's when they made, helmets mandatory in hockey. Now, before I go on with the Jalen Hurts disrespect, like I said earlier, you want a good old cold one? Yeah, I'm sponsoring for Heineken. Get you a good old cold one and call it a day. Drink responsible, though. Now, like I said, waiting on the championship, NBA championship to see in Philadelphia, and I'm waiting on the Stanley Cup. Now, I'm definitely waiting on another World Series in the city of Philadelphia. Now, we all know, of course, the Phillies won their first World Championship in 1980. I wasn't even thought of, okay? In 2008, Phillies won their second. I was in the 6th grade, okay? And the crazy thing about it is, with the Phillies parade, they didn't shut schools down. They didn't shut the city down. You know why, right? As my fellow Philadelphia fans, we were saying, yeah, we're happy because that was our first championship since 1983, which of course was the Sixers. We were saying, we're happy, but we waiting on the Eagles. And look what happened. When the Eagles won their first Super Bowl, Super Bowl 52, Philadelphia went crazy. And not only that it went crazy, they shut the whole city down. They shut it down to the point that school was closed and SEPTA was free. Now, back to the main course of this episode of the Young Brother Soul Podcast Show. I am so sick and tired of people disrespecting Jalen Hurts. I'm sick of it. I already did an episode about them disrespecting Jalen Hurts. Make sure y'all tune in for that episode too. But I'm so Jalen Hurts is a phenomenal quarterback. Yes, he is. And not only that he's a phenomenal quarterback, he's a winner. Okay? Some of the wins may not be pretty, but some of them may be ugly, but he's still a winner. Okay? And not only that he's a winner, you got quarterbacks like Josh Allen, who's good, Lamar Jackson, who's good, injury prone, Joe Burrow, who's good, and of course you got Patrick Mahomes, who's good. But you had quarterbacks, of course, like Joe Montana, Peyton Manning, Brett Favre, Tom Brady. And, of course, that was a different era. But my thing is this, though. You got quarterbacks, like I said earlier. You got Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow. And those three and of course Patrick Mahomes, like I said, those quarterbacks, they're good. But when they have a bad game, y'all don't say much about it. But when it comes to Jalen, y'all be so quick to criticize him. Oh, he can't throw. Oh, he can't read a defense. Oh. And you know what? Most of that is also coming from you Dallas Cowgirls fans. Now, what gets on my nerves with y'all Cowgirls fans, yeah, okay. Y'all got 5 Super Bowls. Okay. All right, I give y'all that. Yeah. Y'all got 5 Super Bowls. Hercules. As I go through social media with these NFC East trash talk, they be so quick to, yeah, it took over 50 years. Yeah, we're not even going to include NFL championship. How do you not include pre-Super Bowl era championships with teams that won? That's a part of history. They were championships before Super Bowls. You had your NFL championships, and then later on you had your AFL championships. Okay? Now, I understand, yeah, nowadays it's the Super Bowl, but the pre-Super Bowl era, that was the championships of that time. Like, I don't understand. They so quick to criticize the Eagles, but you got teams like the Green Bay Packers who have what? Ooh, they have 4 Super Bowls. Yeah, they do. And they have 9 NFL championships. They don't say nothing bad about them, but you have the Chicago Bears who have what? 7 NFL championships, 1 Super Bowl, which I'm quite shocked about. That's Chicago. They should, well, we're just going to leave it at that. We already know why, but the Washington Redskins, well, Commanders, they have what? 2 NFL championships, 3 Super Bowls. The Giants have what? 4 Super Bowls and what? Oh, maybe 5 or 6 NFL championships or something like that. But anyway, what is it with you Dallas Cowgirls fans that won't include NFL championships as part of history? That's what gets on my nerves with y'all. And what got me is that they be so quick to put Jalen down. Yeah, okay, look at y'all quarterback. Dak Prescott, 2-5 record in the playoffs compared to Jalen. Now back to Jalen's situation. Jalen Hurts is the only quarterback in Eagles history to make it to multiple Super Bowls. Yeah, he definitely is. And not only that, we had quarterbacks that made it to the Super Bowl. Ron Jaworski, well, they went to Super Bowl 15. They didn't show up. They lost to the Oakland Raiders 27-10. I wasn't even born when that Super Bowl happened, but we still lost. We were the better team, and we lost to the Raiders. And we beat them in the regular season, but And then, of course, you have the great Donovan McNabb. Now, Donovan McNabb. I grew up with Donovan. I got to take my glasses off of this. I grew up with Donovan McNabb. Okay? Not only that I grew up with Donovan was a great quarterback. Yeah, he was. He was a great quarterback for the Philadelphia Eagles. And not only that, everybody remember in the 1999 NFL Draft what happened. Some of us Eagles fans, well, I was 3 years old at the time, so I definitely don't remember seeing that. But as an Eagle fan, I'm going to say it. We Eagles fans, okay? All right. Y'all know how sometimes we get, but don't think y'all going to come and bully us. That's the thing, too. That's another thing about us Eagles fans. We don't play that. You know what I'm saying? What happened in the 1999 NFL Draft? Eagles fans, my fellow Eagles fans, wanted to draft the running back, Ricky Williams, from the University of Texas. Now, we already know what type of situation that was. Now, was Ricky Williams a good running back? Yeah, he was. But he had moments where he kept getting suspended. Okay? Now, can you imagine if we would have drafted Ricky Williams? We would have went through the same thing what he did with New Orleans and Miami. Okay? Now, what happened? That was Andy Reid's first year. What happened? We drafted Donovan. And of course, us Eagles fans, not me, they booed him. Because that's not what they wanted. That's not what we wanted. But them. But y'all get what I'm saying. Look what the outcome was when we drafted Donovan. He turned out to be the greatest quarterback in Eagles history. Now, before I go on with that, was there a possibility that Donovan McNabb could have won a Super Bowl for the Philadelphia Eagles? Did he have so many chances? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And not only that he had so many chances, they were heartbreaking times. Okay? 2001. We went to the NFC Championship against the St. Louis Rams. The greatest show on turf. Do you not realize who they had on their team? Kurt Warner, Marshall Faulk, Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt. It's the greatest show on turf. Okay. But we still put up a good fight. We lost that game 29-24. Now, before we got the ball back, we almost came this close blocking the punt. Now, can you imagine if that punt would have got blocked? We definitely would have scored, and we definitely would have won that NFC Championship. Okay. 2002. Well, before I go on with that, yeah, McNabb threw an interception at the end in 2002. What happened? Donovan broke his ankle that year. Okay? Came back, did his thing, went back to the NFC Championship. There should have been no reason why we lost to Tampa Bay. Now, yeah, I understand Tampa Bay had that great defense, with Rondé Barber, Simeon Rice, John Lynch, Warren Sapp, Derek Brooks, and etc. Okay, yeah, I get that. But this was the last game at the Veterans Stadium, okay? Not only that was the last game at the Vet, I thought we were going to win that NFC Championship. Not only that, me and my grandmother watched that game. We beat Tampa Bay 2 years in a row in the playoffs. At home, at the Vet. I guess Tampa Bay said third time's a charm. What happened? They beat us in the NFC Championship in our last game at the Vet, 27-10. Now, I remember before that play, what I'm about to mention, we were marching down the field. We were down by 10 points. It was 20-10. We had a little bit of time left. What happened? Donovan threw that interception. Rondé Barber ran it back for a touchdown to seal the game. Yeah, okay. That was a hurt piece. Yeah, I definitely remember that because me and my grandmother watched that game, and we watched Rondé Barber run it back for a touchdown, and we lost that game. Okay, etc. What happened? The next year, we moved into the link. What happened? We were the number 1 seed in 2003 again. 12-4 record. What happened? McNabb was doing his thing. That 4th and 26 catch by Freddie Mitchell. We went back to the NFC Championship game. But before we did that, of course, we was down, 14-0 in that game against Green Bay. Then we came back, and then it went to overtime, and we won 20-17. It went to overtime. Brett Favre threw an interception. Brian Dawkins picked it off. We won the game. We went back to the NFC Championship in 2003, and we played against the Carolina Panthers. Now, this is my thing. What happened? We lost that game against the Carolina Panthers. Donovan McNabb threw 3 interceptions to this one rookie cornerback, something Manning. 3. He got hurt. He was out for the rest of the game. We lost that game 14-3. We only scored 3 points in that game. And I was saying to myself, really? Wow, we really going to lose to the Carolina Panthers of all teams? Okay, we lost. The next year, what happened? We signed Terrell Owens, Javon Curse. It was a good team. The 2004 Philadelphia Eagles was a phenomenal team. And not only that, they were a phenomenal team. They were the number 1 seed again. And not only that, they had a 13-3 record. Donovan and Terrell were balling that year. Okay? They were balling. Yeah. We went through the playoffs. We beat Minnesota. Minnesota sucks. We beat Atlanta in the NFC Championship. Okay. I remember this because the day before that NFC Championship, I didn't watch the game because I'm like, all right, this is our 4th year in a row back in the NFC Championship. I was at my dad's house. I'm like, all right, 4 years in a row. I'm like, all right, we win, we lose, but we lose. Next thing you know, my dad said, oh, y'all won. I was so happy we were going to the Super Bowl, but my dad was like, y'all going to lose because y'all playing New England. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Okay, whatever, Dad. We made it. We finally made it to the Super Bowl. What happened? We lost. McNabb threw 3 interceptions. Now, yes, is there more to the story with the Super Bowl 39? Yeah, we already know the Patriots, Spygate, Deflate, but before Deflate, there was Spygate, so yeah, that's another thing, Patriots, Spygate. But anyway, yeah, we made it back to the Super Bowl. Now, rumor has it that they're saying that Donovan went out the night before and he was drinking. He was hungover. Even if he was or wasn't, we still lost. And of course, we went back to the NFC Championship in 2008. Of all teams to the Arizona Cardinals, we lost. Larry Fitzgerald was balling that year, and he was balling during the playoffs. I give him that. McNabb, I don't know what it is. Like I said, did Donovan have so many chances to win the Super Bowl? Yeah, he did. But is he the greatest quarterback in Eagles history? Yeah, but he will be known as to never could win the big one. Defense did their part, but some way, somehow, the quarterback, they got to do their part too. He did, he didn't. He didn't, he did. But all I know is we lost 5 NFC championships, we only won 1, and we made it to 1 Super Bowl with Donovan, okay? Of course, we already know what the situation was with Nick Foles. Nick Foles will always and forever be a legendary player for the Philadelphia Eagles by helping us win a Super Bowl, our first Super Bowl, and he beat Brady. That was our revenge against the Patriots. Took us 13 years to get back, but we got him back. Now, here's the thing. Another thing. Carson Wentz was our starting quarterback. Carson Wentz was balling his second year. Yeah. He was balling. And not only that, he threw the most touchdowns as a quarterback in Eagles history in one season. I believe it was 33. While having a messed up knee, like 2 plays after that, or 1 play, something like that, against the LA Rams. Torn his ACL. Okay, what happened? They doubted us because we didn't have Carson. All right, so we played Atlanta in the divisional round. We were also the number 1 seed. We were 13-3, which was our second best record since 2004. What happened? They didn't give us a chance. We beat Atlanta. Then Minnesota came in the NFC Championship. What happened? I knew that Minnesota was going to score in their first drive. Something told me that they were going to score first and we were going to score the rest. And look what happened. We blew them out 38-7, okay? Like I said, we were going to win the Super Bowl, against Minnesota, against New England. Nick Foles beat Tom Brady, and Nick Foles was a backup, okay? Nick Foles is a forever legendary quarterback in Philadelphia, okay? And he won Super Bowl MVP. All right. Now, back to Jalen Hurts. Now, we already know, before Jalen started in games, his rookie season, Carson Wentz was still our quarterback. Okay, it was the 2020 season, and of course, when we drafted Carson Wentz, he was our second draft pick in 2016. Now, do I think, or let me ask y'all this, and I ask a lot of people this, especially a lot of my fellow Eagles fans. If Carson Wentz would have never got hurt in 2017, do you think the Eagles would have won Super Bowl 52? Some people say yes, some people say no. So in that situation, it's a 50-50. Okay? 50-50. All right. 2018, Carson got hurt, Nick Foles went back in. Okay. 2019, I ain't gonna lie. Carson was balling that year. He was balling, especially towards the end. Took us back to the playoffs, even though we lost to Seattle. That was a dirty hit by Jadeveon Clowney, too, but we're just going to leave it at that. But anyway, 2020. Not only that, it was the 2020 draft. Of course, we already know who we drafted in the first round. I was so upset. But anyway, we drafted Jalen Hurts, 53rd pick in the second round. Okay, a lot of people criticized it. Okay, we already know why they criticized it. They criticized it because he went to the University of Alabama and Oklahoma his final year. Okay, in one game, yeah, he got benched in the championship. Okay, not all quarterbacks going to have a perfect game. This is what I'm talking about. Okay, he got benched in the quarterback that was in Alabama, he got drafted by the Dolphins. Now he with Atlanta. He's a lefty. Y'all know who I'm talking about. He took over and won the game. Okay, what happened? They lost the championship to Clemson. Okay, that was a good game. But what happened the next year? They went back to the championship game against the University of Georgia. Okay. Tuvaluga. Forgive me, I can't pronounce his name. He's Hawaiian Samoan, but I know who I'm talking about. He got hurt. Okay, Jalen came back. And he put Alabama back on the board, came back, scored again, won the championship. Now, his senior year, he went to Oklahoma. He did his thing in Oklahoma. Now, as I was saying, when he got drafted in the second round by the Eagles, of course, a lot of my other fellow Eagles fans were criticizing him because of the way how he played in that BCS or national championship game. Okay, yeah, like I said, a lot of quarterbacks are not going to have a perfect game, okay? He got benched. Okay, what did he do? All right, what happened? He did his thing again, won the championship. So what is so hard of people not giving him the credit that he deserves? Still sponsoring a Heineken. Anyway, why is it so hard for people to respect the fact that he's a good quarterback? He is a good quarterback. And not only that he's a good quarterback, he has the most rushing touchdowns as a quarterback in 2023, 15. And not only he's a 3-time Pro Bowler, and he has the most points scored in the Super Bowl, tied 20 with James White. Now, we already know who James White was. He was that good running back for the Patriots in Super Bowl 51, which they were down 28-3 against Atlanta. Atlanta. The Falcons have not been the same since that Super Bowl. But anyway, he tied the most points in the Super Bowl with James White. And not only that, he outshined Mahomes twice in the Super Bowl. Okay, now before I go there, what happened? Carson Wentz kept on messing up. Okay, what happened? They benched him against the game against Green Bay. Jalen Hurts came out, threw his first touchdown. Okay, well now what really showed me that he was going to be a good quarterback was the game against Arizona. Yeah, of course we lost, but that was during the pandemic. We didn't have a good year that year. We didn't have a good season that year. We didn't make the playoffs. We were 4-11-1. Yeah, I thought we were going to go to the playoffs that year, but we didn't. Anyway, that was also Doug Peterson last year, who was the first coach to win us the Super Bowl. But anyway, he showed me how much of a good quarterback that he was going to be against the game against Arizona, New Orleans, and of course we played the Cowgirls. And then of course the last game we played the Washington, well they were called the football team. They took him out the game and, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we trade Carson Wentz to the Colts. What happened? This was Jalen's first year as a starter for the whole year. And what happened? Yeah, he had some ups and downs, but guess what? He still took us to the playoffs. And not only that, we also drafted Devontae Smith that year, who definitely balled out as a rookie. It's a shame that he was a rookie and he outshined our first round pick the year before that, Jalen Reagor. I thought we were going to draft Justin Jefferson, but that's a different story. Okay, we lost to Tampa Bay in a wild card game against Brady. All right, what happened? The next year, Jalen was balling. And not only that Jalen was balling, he had Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown got traded to the Eagles that year during the draft day. Okay, what happened? We had a good record. We had the best team. We were the number 1 seed. We went back to the Super Bowl. Super Bowl 57. Okay, we blew out the Giants in the divisional round 38-7. Then we blew out the 49ers 31-7 in the NFC Championship. Yeah, you 49ers fans, y'all get on my nerves too. But at least we both hate Dallas. But but I'm gonna just leave it at that. But okay, what happened? He balled out in the Super Bowl. He ran for 3 touchdowns and he threw for 1 deep pass to A.J. Brown. Okay, yeah, he fumbled. But at the end, he still outshined Mahomes in that first Super Bowl, and he rushed for 70 yards, which was a record at that time. Okay, all right. We lost. Now, we lost that game due to a very controversial so-called holding play, or call, as I should say. Even Greg Olsen, when he was commentating, he said, I don't know, man. I would just let them play. And it was under 2 minutes. Okay. Another thing is, too, the field was slippery and all that. Yeah, it was in Arizona. And another thing is, too, I kind of blame the defensive coordinator because there should be no way how we led the league in sacks that year and turnovers, as I believe, and we didn't get a sack nor a turnover in that Super Bowl. Okay, we lost 38-35. Okay. Was I upset? Yeah, I was. I was hurt. But, moving on. 2023 comes. What happened? We were 10-1, and then we lost, maybe 5 out of 7 games towards the end. I don't know what happened after that overtime against Buffalo. We lost to San Francisco. We lost to Dallas. Then we lost to Seattle. We beat the Giants on Christmas Day. Then we lost to the Cardinals. We were up, and man, that play calling, Brian Johnson, and the defensive coordinator, he got demoted, and Matt Patricia took over and still couldn't. We made it back to the playoffs, but we lost to Tampa Bay in the wild card. Yeah, we did. We got blown out. Okay, all right. And here's another thing what I want to talk to y'all about with Jalen. He goes through so many offensive coordinators, but he's still a winner. Show the man respect. Give him the credit that he deserves. Okay, 2024 comes. What happened? Saquon Barkley comes to the Eagles. All right, whoop-de-doo. No, that wasn't a whoop-de-doo, because at first I was like, I thought we would at least give DeAndre Swift another shot, but, we didn't. So what happened? Saquon Barkley came. Now, here's another thing. If Saquon would have never signed with the Eagles and if we still would have had DeAndre Swift, would we win the Super Bowl? I don't know. All right, so what happened? We went back to 14-3. We were the number 2 seed this time. All right, so Jalen got hurt with a concussion. We still won. And then next thing you know, we played the Packers. Washington hurt him, which I believe they did that on purpose. Okay, we beat the Packers 22-10 in the wild card. And then in the divisional round, we beat the Lions. We almost lost, but we won. Then we went back to the NFC Championship. And here's another thing what I want to talk to y'all about. We played Washington in the NFC Championship game. Okay, all right. People are so quick to pipe up Jaden Daniels. Now, okay, don't get me wrong. He had a good rookie season. Okay, he had a good rookie season. Okay, he took the Washington Commanders to the NFC Championship. Okay, they beat Tampa Bay in the wild card. Then they beat Detroit, who were the number 1 seed. Me and a couple of my family and friends was like, yeah, Washington, they're going to beat Detroit. And I also said it too. I said, watch Washington beat Detroit. And if we beat the Rams, the NFC Championship will be back in Philadelphia. And look what happened. The NFC Championship was back in Philadelphia, and we played Washington. And not only that, they had an 18-play. Yeah. They scored a field goal. And look what happened. The first play of the Eagles, Saquon ran it in for 60, 65 yards. So that told me right there that we were going to win that NFC Championship. And not only that, we kept winning and scoring. We committed we forced 4 turnovers, and we scored 4 touchdowns off those turnovers. We won 55-23. Back to the Super Bowl. What happened? The Eagles got their revenge against the Chiefs. And not only that, we sacked Mahomes 6 times, and we forced, 3 turnovers? What? And y'all still can't give Jalen his credit? He has the most rushing yards by a quarterback in the Super Bowl era. 72 yards. And not only that, he won MVP. 2025, okay, yeah, we had another defensive coordinator. Now, is there a way that Jalen could have played a little better? Yeah, but at the end of the day, the play calling too. Now, this man has 110 touchdowns to 45 interceptions, which he definitely will get more touchdowns coming football season. He has 2,393 pass attempts. And he has a passing yardage of 17,891, and he has 63 rushing touchdowns and 3,554 rushing yards. Okay. He is a good quarterback. Leave him alone, okay? Especially to you Dallas Cowgirls fans. Y'all be so quick to, oh, Jalen, he got carried. He didn't get carried. Now, there were some games, yeah, he messed up, but guess what? He still won. And not only that, Saquon did his thing, Jalen did his thing. Throwing, passing, running. And then, of course, we had A.J. Brown, who kept complaining about not getting the ball. Okay, so what happened? We finally traded him to the New England Patriots. Okay, then we drafted Mekhi Lemon in the first round in the 2026 draft. Do I think Mekhi Lemon is going to be a good replacement for A.J. Brown? I think so. I'm not just saying that because I'm an Eagles fan. I'm not just saying that because, A.J.'s not here anymore. But I'm just saying that I think he's going to be a good replacement. And not only that, we still got Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith was a number one receiver in his rookie year. Then A.J. came, and then they still found a way to win. Y'all need to leave Jalen Hurts alone, okay? I'm getting really sick and tired of y'all disrespecting this man. He's a winner, and not only that, he's a two-time NFC champion. He's a one-time national championship in college, and he has 2 Super Bowl appearances, lost one, won one, and he's a Super Bowl MVP. So for those of y'all who keep criticizing this man, leave Jalen Hurts alone. Seriously. He's the only quarterback in Eagles history to make it to multiple Super Bowls. He's the only quarterback that has the most rushing yards in a Super Bowl. Okay? Not only that, he ran for 4 touchdowns in the Super Bowl altogether. And he threw three touchdowns. Yeah, 3 touchdowns altogether in both Super Bowls. And, of course, he has a turnover in each one. Fumble, interception. But guess what? He still is a winner, and he still is a good quarterback. But what I like about him is he's very laid back. He's very chilling. When people criticize him, he be like, okay. When they was all picking the Chiefs to win Super Bowl 59, he looked, okay. And look what he did. He won. Defense played well. He played well. Leave Jalen alone. Stop disrespecting him. Now, when he wins, and I said when he wins another Super Bowl and if he wins another MVP, y'all definitely need to leave him alone and show him some respect. I'm sick of y'all. That's all y'all do is criticize that man. Leave him alone. He also has a passing rating of 94.4. Completion of 64.4. Okay? And he's going to get more and more and more and more and more and more. Leave Jalen Hurts alone. Show the man some respect. I'm sick of y'all. Especially you Dallas Cowgirls fans. Yeah, we got 5. Yeah. Who cares? Yeah, I said it. I don't care. I said it. Just waiting on the Sixers to win a championship. If LeBron comes, we might win a championship. Just waiting to see the Flyers win the championship. Well, they're still a young team. And, of course, I'm waiting to see what the Phillies are going to do. But as of right now, fly, Eagles, fly. Bird gang all day. E-A-G-L-E-S. 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 Now, before I end off with this video, I just want to say thank y'all for the support and keep on supporting the brother. And make sure you tell all your family and friends to subscribe, hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, hit that notification button. And make sure y'all tune in for some new episodes of the Young Brother of Soul podcast show. I'm the Young Brother of Soul, and this is the end of this episode. And like I said, people need to leave Jalen alone. And I cannot wait until football season comes. Fly, Eagles, fly. Bird gang all day. Eagles. Eagles. Excuse me. Eagles. The midnight green is good, but I like the Kelly green. Do you think it's a possibility that the Eagles will go back to Kelly green permanently? We don't know. That's just an opinion. Leave a comment, let me know. But like I said, make sure you tell all your friends and family to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up, leave a comment, hit that notification button. And make sure y'all tune in for some new episodes of the Young Brother of Soul podcast show. Thank you.